We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Our guest with us this morning is Allison Fields, veterinarian, taking your phone calls. If you'd like to join us at 737-7587, this is live. We're on the air. As I pinch her, she'll go ouch, and this is happening real time. Thank you for coming on. So the lines are open. This is the last segment with you. So if someone wants to get in,
they better get in.
They need to jump now. But until we get a few more of those phone calls, I was going to ask you any other things that we should touch bases on that you've seen through the door at your clinic. And
not as much that, but I mean, we have had a really mild winter. It's getting ready to be. Well, it's cold out today.
It's going to get cold.
Who knows how long it's going to stay like this. But for your outdoor animals, it's very important that they have adequate shelter and insulation in that shelter, and that they have adequate food. They typically will eat more in the wintertime because they need to keep their temperature up. And then also their water. We don't want their water freezing. We see dogs that are outside dogs who get dehydrated because their water's frozen and people forget to go. And you know how sometimes water can freeze and it doesn't necessarily look like it's ice, but there's that layer of ice on the top and they can't get their water. So make sure they have adequate shelter with adequate insulation.
What do you recommend for insulation? I was going to hit you on that.
Well, for your outdoor cats, we have some barn cats at the clinic that we just made them this year we made them houses so that we didn't have to bring them in. If it gets below freezing and it's going to stay below freezing or at freezing, we've always brought them in the clinic at night just because we don't want them to be cold. Now, however, we bought some Rubbermaid totes, one that fits inside another one, so there's two of them, and you put some insulation down, whether it be styrofoam or hay or whatever for insulation would work if you have extra insulation. You put it down, you cut a hole in the outside one, and you then put the smaller one up to it, cut a hole in the smaller one, insulate all around the smaller one, below the smaller one, put the lid on the smaller one, insulate some more, put the lid on the top one. So it's a box within a box with insulation around the inside box with a hole for them to go in, and then we put a blanket or a towel or something in there. So they have these double insulated boxes where they're protected from the wind. They just have this one little opening, and so they're really nice. They love them. But they're great for your outdoor cats, or if you have a feral cat.
But cedar chips for a dog, or no?
I don't think cedar chips really do anything.
Keep them warm. So blankets, something like that.
Hay is good. Straw.
Okay. Let's go to Pamela. Hi, Pamela.
Hi. Am I on?
Yeah, you are. What can we do for you?
The question I'm asking is, I have a Lhasa mix, and she has dry eye, and my doctor's already been giving her the Restasis in a tube. I just realized about a couple weeks ago that's what it really was. But and I'm doing what he's told me to do, but I'm realizing she's going blind. She's in the backyard, she runs it, she walked right into a tree, she walked into a planter, and I'm wanting to know what do I do to help her? And with the dry-eyed condition, is this typically what happens, that they go blind?
Well, typically with dry eye, if it's taken care of and maintained, it doesn't cause blindness unless they get that kind of hyperpigmentation over their cornea, which is kind of black pigmentation that's overlying their cornea. And just so we know, the Restasis and the Optimune, which is probably what your doctor has her on, are the same medication, different concentrations. Restasis is a lot less concentrated as what the dogs need. So just so you know, if you're on Restasis, it won't work for your dog. But dry eye does not typically cause blindness unless we get that pigmentation. So there may be something else going on. I don't know if she has cataracts or if your doctor's looked at that. There is cataract surgery for dogs. We have a wonderful veterinary ophthalmology group here in Nashville with, I can't remember if they have 3 or 4 veterinary ophthalmologists, and they can do cataract surgery just like in people and restore vision. I think that and I'm not meaning to not answer your question, but it's hard to know why she's not visual. And some of those things may be reversible, some of them may not. In the meantime, you may see if she's running into things when it's dim or dark, then it may be cataracts, and if you keep things brightly lit, she may not run into things. So it'd be interesting to see if she's doing this in the daytime or at nighttime or both. If she is truly blind and there's nothing that we can do that your veterinarian, then the main thing is don't play any Helen Keller jokes on her. Don't rearrange the furniture.
Get her to
just
what habits.
leave things where they are and let her find her way. They will do good. There are a lot of blind dogs out there who very well learn to orient themselves.
Visitors would not know it.
Correct.
They're that good. Okay, let's squeeze in Tara real quick. Tara, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi,
Morning.
Tara. How can we help you?
What can you tell me about hot spots?
Hot spots.
That's a very broad question. Hot spots are typically a spot that has an itch, a wound, a insect bite, some reason that became itchy. The animal starts scratching at it, chewing at it, and actually creates a sore. And so a hot spot typically is a big cycle of, I got something that caused me to lick and chew and scratch, and I'm licking and chewing and scratching, which has created a bigger wound, which is itchy, which I lick and chew and scratch, which causes a bigger wound. And so it's just a big cycle. So typically we need to find the cause of the hot spot. Do we have fleas? Do we have some other skin issue going on that needs to be addressed? And then typically hot spots are addressed. Depending how bad they are, they may get some oral antibiotics. We usually give them something to stop them from itching and scratching, including occasionally the cone of shame, as Nick calls it.
Cone of shame.
So I hope that answered your question.
Does that help?
What can I do? Because I don't know if it's environmental or if it's internal. I just, and it's not that often. I've got two Shih Tzus, a brother and a sister. But
Well,
I cut their hair, but I don't like to. But in the summer, I will. They're just a year old now, and I cut them once, and the groomer actually found them. And I said, I don't know if you can do her. She's got a sore, and it just came up. I don't know what it is. She said, well, it's a hot spot. She said, yeah, I can go ahead and groom her.
Did you take the dogs to the vet?
No, I didn't take it to the vet because it cleared right up.
Okay. Well, next time they get one, you may want to try going to the vet and see if they can figure out why we had them in the first place.
Yeah.
That might be helpful.
Okay. And again, it could be anything from an allergic reaction to flea bites to a wound to
the
a
most
dry skin.
common thing we see is some sort of insect, and usually that's fleas.
Okay. Almost always something like that. Hot spots. At first, I was wondering if she was curious about where your favorite bar or restaurant
Right?
is.
I know.
But no,
Different.
Hot Spot,
That's a different show.
It's a different show.
It is.
And trust me, she could give you some recommendations. All right, as we wrap things up here, just any parting shots in the final couple of minutes here. As you said, again, we're still going to have cold weather. Don't
Yes.
deceive yourself. I personally don't mind this mild weather, but January
I
and
miss my
February is
cold.
going to hit us in the face.
Yes.
Yeah. So, just prep your animals for that.
Yeah.
Again, whatever animal, when we talked about, a lot of people got new pets, just do the spaying and neutering thing. It still just drives me so
chip them
crazy.
while they're there.
But I mean, all these dogs and animals that are given up at the shelters.
Heartworm prevention is year-round here in Tennessee. So heartworm prevention year-round.
Have you seen any rabies or heard from any of your colleagues of rabies cases anywhere in the state recently?
I don't know. That all goes through the health department.
I just don't know if you
and,
sometimes get alerts or things like that if it's shared
We've
amongst.
tested a couple animals this year for rabies. I think 2. But I'm sure they used to always publish it, and I used to get that, and I don't get it. But they would break it down by county as to how many rabid animals they found, because pretty much when you find if there's a dead skunk on the side of the road, they test almost every skunk just to see.
Just to see.
I mean, they're normally hit by cars, but
Right.
for whatever reason, that's kind of a nice kind of just general population that we can test to see if they're still carriers or not carriers and things like that.
Okay, but aside from that, I think everyone does a good job getting their dogs and cats vaccinated for that, right? I mean, that's why we don't see as many cases of rabies.
That's why your veterinarians, we always have like rabies clinics. I think in, it's March or April, depending on your county. And
how much is a rabies shot?
In our clinic, it's $16.
Yeah.
It's around that in probably most clinics. We don't really make any money on rabies shots. We're doing it. It's a public health situation. We want your dog to be vaccinated. We want your cat to be vaccinated because it's a public health risk.
Right.
And so they're pretty inexpensive. And then we have the rabies clinics, which they drop to typically $10, which is even less expensive. And so just because we're trying to encourage people to do that. And in the past, in Metro Davidson County, we have always had the rabies clinics at different schools and stuff like that. The animal control has decided that they don't need the veterinarian's help anymore, I think. And so they're not doing that this year. We're not having those clinics around town. We haven't actually decided what exactly is going to happen. We don't know if individual clinics are going to have them or if it's just a matter of this is kind of old school, we're not doing that anymore, and you just need to go to the vet and get your rabies shot.
Right. We'll just get it done. Because if your dog is not vaccinated for rabies and bites someone, how do you test for rabies?
You take a brain sample.
So you have to cut off their head.
Yes.
Yeah, not a good thing. So, yeah. Get the vaccination, save your dog's head.
Yes.
Allison, thank you for coming on.
You're so welcome.
As always,
Pleasure to be here
it's
as
a
usual.
pleasure seeing you. Will we see you again soon?
February.
Perhaps next month.
Yes.
Just next time, bring me some treats.
Treats?
Yeah.
Dog treats or people treats?
I've eaten dog treats.
How about I just bring you something and you try it and then you tell me if it's a dog treat?
I'll do it.
I know you will.
That would be kind of cool.
That would be fun. Dog treat?
I like popcorn.
People treat. Oh, look, it's popcorn.
It's popcorn. All right.
You're just
That's another
paying
good
more
treat.
for it.
That's true. It is.
Just pop some
Pop
corn.
my own and give it to them, and that's not a
Right.
bad treat for dogs, right?
No.
Yeah. Allison, thanks.
You're so welcome.
We'll see ya. I'll be back with a programming note right after this. I have.